in trouble, man.
I can't remember. That was a new one. Old one. There we go.
You see it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, let's do it.
Yonder music.
Being that I'm here right now, I'ma go and get it right now, get committed right now. I'ma do some shit that's gonna uplift a bunch of people's spirit right now, help them heal it right now. I'ma get them riches right now. Work plan, manifest, be speak that shit into existence right now. Can't slow down, got the vision wrote down, cause I seen it, man, I'm on right now. Focusing the motherfuckers where I'm in the zone right now. Ain't no later, dog, it's only right now.
And it's only right now.
It creates.
Right now.
No past, no future right now. All I got is right now. No past, no future right now. All I got is right now. Fuck what they did to me, gon' do, cause all I get is right now. Fuck what they did to me, gon' do, cause all I get is right now. So I focus on that when I can focus on now. Pull up at a beach on the outskirts of town. Enjoy the view and give thanks to the truth. And I go hit the yo just to shut that bitch down.
And I'm high right now. So alive right now. Clear skies right now. Living my life by my own rules. I feel what I choose.
Yonder music.
Do it now. Gonna take some words, okay? And I'm right back at it. Divine alignment, fully automatic. I don't think about it. I just watch it happen. I just move toward it and I get supported. When I try to force it, it just get distorted. So I dance with it. Crystals all in my pants with it. Healing all in my hands with it. I'm an alchemist. I'm a master. I'm a rabbi. I'm a sensei. I'm a bad guy. I'm an alien. I'm an animal. I'm a cannibal. I'm so handsome, no. Yo.
And I'm high right now. Can barely open my eyes right now.
And that money we making it. Climbing these ladders and laying foundation, that's masonry. This shit is different, cause my dreams are literally chasing me. Grateful for where life is taking me. I'm living life, that's to say the least. Only true beauty can tame the beast. Only true love can tame that beast.
Are you here with me right now? Right now. Vibe with me. Vibe with me right now. Right now, yeah.
You are back on the bench. On the Bench podcast with Bubba and Pink. Pink, what's going on?
Not much, man. Just enjoying these playoffs.
A lot going on right now, man.
There's a ton.
For sure. And we just going to be talking about NBA playoffs today. You got the Kevin Durant versus Charles Barkley. Lanes continue, chapter 1000. Yeah. You just got a lot of stuff going on. NFL draft is here.
Quietly snuck up on us.
And we're here to talk about it, man. On the Bench podcast. Don't forget that we're on all podcast streaming platforms. I don't care what you listen to stuff on. We're there. All you got to do is just type us in and listen. That's right. And also, don't forget, we now have shirts on the Bench podcast shirts. All right, get your shirts. You can also get your name on the back.
I caught some heat for this name on the back thing.
Oh, yeah?
I did not think it was a thing. I don't have many shirts with my name on the back. So I'm like, oh, who the hell wants that? On the back? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I told you to tell the people, man. They could have got their name on the back. We got some shirts here, man.
It's my bad, man.
Yeah. And Appreciate everybody who has gotten one so far.
Yeah.
And if you haven't gotten one, what the hell are you doing? So that's it, man.
Yeah.
Pink, man. I had an epiphany today, man.
That's pretty rare. I don't think I've ever had an epiphany in my life.
They're useful.
Tell me what it feels like.
No, but seriously, like.
I do know what that feels like.
No, seriously, man. I'm here thinking, I'm like, damn, because these people, they come into my inbox trying to get money. And my thing is.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the hose.
No, I have to go into there.
Okay.
And it's like, there's no used to rob banks. They used to rob trap houses, going and and risk their lives. They used to fucking rob people in broad daylight and shit. Easy. They're fucking shitty. They want to come to your Facebook and Instagram inbox and just think you're just dumb as shit and just going to give up your Cash App information. Nothing. These bit mining and Bitcoin and Cash App and all of these motherfuckers.
Oh, I thought you were talking about people you know.
No, these random people. Yeah, man.
Bitcoin miners. They have no connection to you whatsoever, but suddenly they follow you, like a couple of your pictures, and then slide in your inbox.
I want the old criminals back, man. I want the old criminals back, the guys who are going to stick me up, you know what I'm saying? Tell me they're going to kill me and rape my wife. That, man, because this shit here is just terrible.
Really?
Yeah, it's just terrible.
But you could just delete these people and it's
But
over.
it's ongoing, it's all the time. And then they try to get creative. Put a big booty in the profile pic and then force you to accept, because who's going to decline that? And it's like, then she inboxes you like, hi. Yeah.
You know what bothers
Can
me?
you Cash App me? Do you have Cash App? Oh, bitch.
Or no, usually the move is they'll presumably Cash App you something.
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense.
Oh, I could turn your $100 to $10,000.
Yeah.
It's like, man, get the fuck out of here.
You know Facebook, but you'll get a message from somebody you know, and they're like, "Hey, have you heard about the government program for whatever?" And you're like, "I know this guy." Like, there's no program for this guy's a part of.
They're not even like casing out the people that they're stealing the profiles from.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
They don't know anything.
You can't put two sentences together.
For real, man. They say that is the sound still going in and out? You keep going in and out.
Good at all.
No.
Jesus.
Let's take a quick break, man, and try to get this figured out. Hold on, we'll be right back.
All right.
Let's see here.
It's cool, baby, get in. Yo, let your seat back, go roll the windows down too, baby. Yo, I see you chewing on ice.
Wanna fill up your cup, just say that. Wanna jump in this truck, just say that. Yeah, I ride with a tuck, don't say that. She like, maybe wanna fuck when you say that. Back then, they ain't pay me this payment. Just rap going crazy, say that. Came a long way from shopping at Payless. Oh, you want a Versace, say less. Fun, but you already know where it's at. Real big coins, nigga, 4X that. Pass me the ball, I'ma score, that's a fact. And won't put keys on the floor under the mat, cause the world taught us that we poor if we black. In order a track, a glorious life for your family and all of your kids. You gotta water it tap. Damn, I should've started with that. We used to walk to McDonald's when niggas had problems, niggas already had Big Macs. I'm not a rapper, I'm an artist. Shit, baby, that garbage. I done heard this shit got snatched. Want me to pay, I'ma pay then. It's money at the door, let pay in. Oh, you don't like the rules, don't play then. And if broke niggas don't deserve pussy, what you gonna do for a K then?
Let's get it, yo. Let's get it, yo. Let's get it, yo.
Wanna fill up your cup, just say that. Wanna jump in this truck, just say that. Yeah, I ride with a tuck. tuck, don't say that. She like, maybe wanna fuck when you say that. Back then, they ain't pay me this payback. Juju rapping going crazy, say that. Came a long way from shopping at Payless. Oh, you want a Versace, say less. Know you got your head did it up, but keep that head down and sit it up. 1942 to simmer up. Used to be sunny, then 7 up. I went to school to show mama love. You either rap, ballin', or selling drugs. Construction, real estate, or driving trucks. Cutting hair, touching niggas up. Can't trust the construct, niggas stuck. Can't muster up, nothing much to say. I went to fam, she went to Florida State. She used to like white boys, but it's straight. God answer prayers, I ain't even say. Like all you fuck niggas in the way. This my life like Mary J. And I'm on E like Terrence J. Before I let you go, I gotta let you stay. But if you wanna leave, don't hesitate. We grown now, we can't punt the brakes. What you say? Wanna fill up your cup, just say that. Wanna jump in this truck, just say that. Yeah, I ride with a tuck, don't say that. She like, maybe wanna fuck when you say that. Back then, they ain't pay me this payback. Juju rapping going crazy, say that. Came a long way from shopping at Payless. Oh, you want a Versace, say less.
Get it, yo. Get it, yo. Get it, yo. And if broke niggas don't deserve pussy, what you gonna do for a K then? 5K, 10K. She like, maybe wanna fuck when you say that.
Baby, I'm alone. Before I go away. I just gotta know.
Alrighty, you guys are back on the bench. Let us know, man, if that audio is still going in and out. It shouldn't be. I've turned myself into a technical wizard here with O-Rap, with our guy, man.
Wizard of
And
Oz.
it's teaching me a lot. All right. So, yeah, I mean, we're pretty much done with that conversation, but we're just talking about the Forex and bit mining and cash out people going into your fucking inboxes and trying to take your money. That's all we're talking about here, man. Trying to take your money. And I just wish the old criminals would come back, the ones who are robbing banks and sticking you up in the middle of the street. I just wish they'll come back and wish these guys will fall off a fucking cliff and hang themselves. That's all.
That'd be solid.
Pass that message on. Yes, and you guys, like I said, back on the bench with Bubba and Pink. We're on all podcast streaming platforms. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff, man. But Pink, let's start with some sports, man. We got Juan coming in. We're gonna be talking about some NBA playoffs
For sure.
for sure. But I wanted to talk about this and catch your reaction because, of course, we had over the Brooklyn Nets and the got defeated and got swept by the Boston Celtics, right?
Yes.
And what happened with that is, in the aftermath, you know, KD catches a lot of heat, and the TNT crew and Charles Barkley, they didn't really hold back, man.
Katie was catching heat throughout. You know, it was funny. Yeah. Here's a quick point I want to make. What I really dislike about contemporary times with social media is that you will have, like, Katie was struggling in this series, not playing great, and you will have just post after post of, if LeBron played like this, we would hear this, that, and the other thing. But then, you know, on a separate line of posts, there are people dumping on KD saying he's not playing well. It's just like leave other people's name out of your mouth. Just deal with what we have in front of us. KD not playing great basketball.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the issue is my thing is the whole time is I haven't been on the Kevin Durant is the best player in the league train. I've never been on that train, and I never really understood it, and this just highlighted it. But that is a natural reaction to have if you're on that boat, is that, you know, you guys, the world would fucking explode if LeBron had this type of performance, which it did when he had the Dallas series. This is not enough heat for a guy that has mostly regarded as the best player in the NBA.
But okay, how is it not enough heat? Because, like,
It's not enough heat.
what do you want people to do?
I want a similar reaction to the LeBron James post Dallas Mavericks series. I want that type of reaction.
But what was that reaction? It was 2012, or 10 or 11.
Yeah,
But what did people do, like, differently than now?
They fucking destroyed LeBron, man. They like what? Like it's not a comparison. The heat that KD is receiving and the heat LeBron receiving is not comparable, and it's not. But you at least have to admit it that it's not the same. It's,
I mean,
it's a
honestly,
different level.
I can't remember that far back. What was so different about the Heat?
It was more. It was intensified. It was like as if you had watched the worst performance by a player in the history of mankind. Like every TV show, every pundit, every analyst, every fan. I mean, it was just hardcore and poured in for years and years. It's already
years and years.
Yeah, to this day.
He won a title the next 2 years.
And they still brought it up. Like, it's the conversation is already cooled about Kevin Durant having a bad series. It's already cooled. And we're 3 days past? It's already over. Like, it's already over. Like that's just not.
But no, well, see, I that's where I disagree. This whole Nets run, or like walk or stumble or whatever the fuck we want to call it, he's gonna live with this forever in his resume.
Yeah.
I mean, here's KD's career right now. He goes to OKC. He joins some young, talented core of players. They go to the finals once and lose. Harden leaves. He and Westbrook fail to gel in a way that produces a title. They lose a 3-1 lead. He abandons ship to the team that beat them and reels off a couple of titles. He
received more. You was on the road. I had to cut you off.
I am on the road. Don't stop the road.
But he received more heat for going to the Golden State Warriors in this terrible performance.
But again, in context, he received a lot of heat for that. Then he received heat or just incomprehension for why leave the fucking Warriors and go to Brooklyn? Why bring Kyrie with you as your number 2 guy? He's about as reliable as a chick. That ain't good. And then you have this 3-year run where you accomplish nothing, including a first-round sweep where you played poorly. That's his resume. It ain't a great resume. Yeah. We'll look back at history and say, you didn't win a title on your own. You were a dangerous piece to help Steph Curry win more titles. That's what you were.
In comes Charles Barkley.
Enter the fat man.
He says that the life is different when you're driving the bus.
Yeah.
That was his comment. Life is different when you're driving the bus. And then KD, of course, he barked back because, on Twitter and Instagram, he's going to say something back all the time, even if you're a regular fan. All right, and he was just saying basically how Barkley, was on all these super teams as well. And this is where I separate, because I'm a fair guy. Now I separate, and I have to take KD's back on that. I've been a staunch fucking screaming at the top of my lungs about I don't know how no one points out the hypocrisy. Charles Barkley sits up there and just fucking acts like he's like. Of course, we know he hasn't won any championships, but Charles Barkley entered one of the greatest situations you could possibly be in.
Which was what?
He caught the 76ers on the end of top 5 greatest teams to ever assemble, right? And he caught those guys at the end of their prime. So he's coming in as a rookie, a highly regarded rookie, and he's in the locker room with all of these great players who are at the end of their prime. You know what I mean?
Right, that's not a great thing.
That is, because he's getting to learn. His greatest story is from Moses Malone.
Yeah, I know the story, but
without Moses Malone, Charles Barkley's probably out of the league in 5 years. His words.
Could be.
Nobody else.
Okay,
his words.
Fair enough.
Right? And everyone talks about the greatness of having great older veterans on your team, but these are great older veterans that was at the top of the league. You know what I mean? So that's a great situation to be in. And he's going to take over the reins. It's on him to take over the reins and to go to the team from there. Once those guys retire and leave or whatever, Moses got traded. He demands a trade to get out of Philadelphia. To do what? Form a super team over there. Then he forms another one. He leaves, you know what I'm saying? Houston, Phoenix.
With the indomitable Dan Marley.
I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? He forces his way out of situations just like these guys are doing, just like James Harden, Kevin Durant, whatever. So what are you even talking about, Charles? You know what I mean?
See, I disagree.
He wasn't driving no bus over there in Houston. He wasn't driving a bus in Houston. He wasn't driving the bus in Phoenix.
He did drive the bus in Phoenix.
Nah, he didn't drive the bus.
He drove the bus in Phoenix.
Well, he drove it fucking down the ditch. I mean, Kevin Durant drove this bus in Brooklyn.
Well,
He was driving the bus.
Charles Barkley's Phoenix bus got further than Durant's Nets bus.
Oh, fucking that it doesn't
But see,
amount to anything.
You're undermining your own point because we're here to trash KD.
I'm not here to trash KD. I'm not here to trash KD.
You
I'm
said
just
you
saying
wanted-
he's not the best player in the league.
But no, you
That's
wanted
not
the
trashing the
same
guy.
level of venom directed at him
Yes.
now that was directed at,
Yes.
at LeBron.
Yes.
But by going on the tangent about Barkley, we lose the mustard.
No, you don't lose the mustard.
Here's
man.
my thing.
Go ahead.
Going back to KD, focus on KD.
Yeah.
He's a terrific offensive player, an absolutely elite, all-time great offensive player. He's not, to me, a great two-way player. He's not crap on defense, but he's not a two-way player. His biggest problem is he does not have the personality and the character to carry a team and drive the bus. It's not who he is.
Yeah.
And that will never change. He's been in the league long enough, and it will never happen. He will always have to be the number two guy to somebody that has the character to carry an organization. And it goes back to the burner accounts and the not like real champions, real bus drivers don't do that stuff.
So that's how
It's
we're bus
not in their DNA, but it's in his. And he's got a level of just weird insecurity and pettiness. And again, responding to Charles Barkley, like that's just what it is. And that's who he is. And like that's his legacy.
Right.
He cannot carry a team there. He cannot pick a running mate other than going with the Warriors, who already had an established culture that he just became a hood ornament on. And that's what it is for KD.
So
take him out of the top 10 or 15 all time
yeah,
completely
you have to. You have to.
because he's not that guy.
And I was hoodwinked as well as far as how superior he is on offense, like as far as the best offensive player of all time. I used to put him in those conversations. But it's not fair because KD he doesn't show the killer gene a lot. They say that about LeBron James a lot, but the B as an effective scorer as he is, he's always low volume effect, and then that's awesome, right? If you could get 30 off of whatever 10 to 12 shots, that is awesome. But if your team is losing, why not go for 60, 70
If that's what your team needs.
of 20 shots if that's what your team needs? And he's never
But I mean,
that.
here's the bigger fault. It's not even the on court stuff. It's
no,
the off-court
no.
stuff.
You're right. You're right.
It's
Character, leadership.
Not
being able to carry a
not
team.
being able to gel with
No, for sure.
a prime Westbrook. Not being able to man, why was he not the guy that got Harden and Kyrie in a room and figured this shit out this year?
Yeah.
Because it's not who he is the obvious answer.
Yeah.
But a real leader would have got those people in a room and figured this shit out.
Yeah.
Kyrie, go get vaccinated. You ain't leaving the room till we got. I got a fucking guy with a needle now. And Harden, you came here to do something. Are you going to do it or not?
Yeah.
You got whatever, one more year in your contract. You're good to go after this. But the three of us are going to get this shit done.
Facts.
And that's just not who he is. And he'll never be that guy. So to me, I mean, he's no higher than maybe 15th all time.
And what about in today's game?
I have a tough time. There's a lot of flux. I mean, resume wise, I take LeBron over him. I take Steph Curry over him. Giannis is on his way to surpassing
No, so
him.
I don't want resume. I don't want
What do you want?
Who's
Active player right now?
The best basketball players in the league right now. Where does Kevin Durant rank today?
Maybe 6 to 8.
Ooh, that's a hard fall.
Well, I mean, I put Giannis ahead.
Yeah.
I put present moment Joel Embiid ahead. I put Steph ahead. And it's an argument for Jokic.
Yeah.
I mean, Jokic, good, bad, or otherwise, he does what he does.
Yeah.
LeBron's tough based on what he did this year. I don't know. And then you got John Morant.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah. I think I want to put Luka ahead of him too. Is that going too far?
I don't know.
Is that going too far? I wouldn't put Ja over Durant though. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put Ja, but I think I would put Luka over Durant. I think I would, and that would land him at 5th for me.
Well, the one thing, and I'll say this with Ja, he's embracing it all.
Yeah, he is, and we're going to get to
trying
Juan.
to be that guy.
We're going to get,
and even the gesture of giving the award to Desmond Bain.
Yeah,
like that's the off-court stuff.
Those are the things
that matters.
Those are the things that matters.
And you do your thing on game night, but there's a lot of stuff to be done on nights other than game night.
Yeah,
and that's a winning move.
Do you blow this Nets thing up, or you run it back?
You're kind of stuck. I mean, I guess you let Kyrie go. He's a free agent.
That's what I'm saying.
Not sign him. I mean, in truth, yeah. I mean, there's no way I would feel comfortable giving Kyrie 4 or 5 years of major dollars. Yeah. He's not produced. He plays 55 games a year for his whole fucking career. That's not acceptable.
Don't go too far, Juan.
Yeah, that's I can't do that. So if that's what you got to do to be to keep this going, it's not worth it.
Yeah, you bring Nash back though.
I don't know that I would. You might need a fresh voice.
Yeah.
I like Steve Nash as a dude. I have a lot of respect for him. I think he understands basketball. I don't think he's done anything as Nets coach to make him untouchable.
Right.
There's nothing that he's done, and it's been a funky situation, but there's nothing he's done that's made that organization better.
Well, that was a good convo, man.
Usually
once again, you guys are on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink. We're on all podcast streaming platforms. This is what I want you guys to do. Man, I lost it. No, I didn't. Giving a shout out to our very first sponsor, overkink.com. Don't forget that you guys can head over to overkink.com. It has all of your bedroom needs.
I thought you said they're going to set it up much better. You're like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go fuck yourself with a toy from overkink.com.
That works. That does work. And if you use promo code BubbaPink, you can fuck yourself
with a
discount. That's classic, man. That's classic.
Don't disappoint yourself.
No, promo code BubbaPink, all lowercase letters, no spaces, all right? We're going to get to our next break here. We're going to get Juan Bernard on to talk some NBA playoffs, some Ja Morant. I want to talk Ja Morant versus Derrick Rose. We want to talk about this Philadelphia 76ers implode. Maybe I might implode and blow up the set here. And let's see what we're going to get to here. We got to do things a little bit manual right now. Let's go to Abson. This is a new guy. I found him on Instagram. I'm deep diving for artists, man.
Good deal.
This is my guy, man. Shout out to Abson. He wrote me back too on IG, so that's a good deal. We'll be right back on the Bench Podcast with Bubba and Pink.
Done with the low lives. I heard you double dip, heard you play both sides. Heard you shine bright in the low light. Heard you like hot rum over cold ice.
Late night chillin', champagne sippin', both phones missing, your curves gripping. You look 19 but 33 like Pippin. A little extra thickness makes no difference. Rockin' with the fly smiley, little hot girl summer, bodacious body, soft voice to match. So relaxing, we're lounging in my crib, having a great time. Deep convos, making love to your mind. What I like about you, it ain't hard to find. Have you feeling me physically, spiritually? It must be destiny, you and me, wait and see.
I can take you high, heard you done with the low lives. I heard you double dip, heard you play both sides. Heard you shine bright in the low light. Heard you like hot rum over cold ice.
Late night chillin', champagne sippin', both phones missing, your curves gripping. You look 19 but 33 like Pippin. A little extra thickness makes no difference.
You can get it how you want, makes no difference. Came here with one mission, leave you dripping. How's it going down when I come around? I can slow it down, I can drum it down. Know you heard a lot about the boy, oi, oi, oi. I know you heard I keep my heart cold. I know you want me deep in your soul. You know I heard you like to drop it down low, baby. I can take you high, heard you done with the low lives. I heard you double dip, heard you play both sides. Heard you shine bright in the low light. Heard you like hot rum over cold ice.
Late night chillin', champagne sippin', both phones missing, your curves gripping. You look 19, but 33 like Pippin. A little extra thickness makes no difference.
Like, job done.
You guys are back on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pint. We got Juan Bernal in the building. What's going on, Juan?
Nothing, man. Just happy to be here again. Appreciate y'all having me, and just ready to talk some NBA playoffs. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah, man.
Fuck Christmas, man.
let's go ahead and get this out of the way, man. Let's talk about my guys. Let's make sure my mic is on. Yeah, mic is on. Let's talk about my guys, man. Philadelphia 76ers versus Toronto Raptors. We get off to a 3-0 lead. Credit to Joel Embiid making the game winner 3-point shot. So we push this to 3-0.
Talking sweep to Drake after the game.
Talking sweep to Drake after the game winner. And we go to lose 2 games. I mean, Embiid fractures his thumb on a shooting hand. And apparently he's the only athlete on the team that can get over 20 points. So, and we lose two straight games.
Didn't Maxey have like 30+ in game 1?
In game 1, yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about the 2 losses.
Okay.
We lost 2 games in a row. And Embiid was the high man in game 5 with 20. What's up, Juan? What?
Well,
what's going on in this series, man?
So, one thing I like to do is, instead of going to criticize the other team, we'll give the reason why all this criticism is falling upon. Let's give credit to the Toronto Raptors. To me, there's 2 coaches in this league that are better than anybody else at making adjustments, especially in the playoffs, and that's Tyronn Lue and Nick Nurse.
Oh, God.
Nick Nurse.
I told you about Lue.
I'll always hate Tyronn Lue, and I'll never respect him.
Why is that?
He's just a little bitch, man.
Because of Allen Iverson?
That's part of it. I just don't think he's any good.
He's a top 3 coach in the league.
That pains me. I will refuse to acknowledge that. He's just bang average for me.
Well, we're not here to talk about Tyronn Lue, but
Thank God.
But the Raptors. First of all, the Raptors, you have to give credit to them for bouncing back after 2 blowout losses in games 1 and 2, and in game 3, they lost probably the most winnable game a playoff team will have that ended up losing. Precious misses 2 free throws. Van Fleet misses 2 wide open threes that he will knock down probably 70 or 80% of the time, and they did all this without playing with Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes missed
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, missed
From
games
Florida.
2 and 3.
Florida State.
Yeah.
Well, he's from Florida. He's a Florida boy too now.
He's Florida State though.
Scotty
Let
Barnes.
there be no confusion.
Scotty Barnes is one of 10 middle schoolers that I've seen live that I'm like, this guy's gonna be an NBA player. I saw him in 8th grade.
Oh wow.
When he was at Calvary Christian down in Fort Lauderdale. I saw him in a tournament in December.
He's from West Palm. Though.
Yeah.
Shout out to West Palm Beach, man.
Yeah, he was playing as an 8th grader in a varsity tournament, and the team he was playing with had playing against had Paul Atkinson from Notre Dame and a couple of other high major Division I guys, and I'm like I was appalled by this 8th grader on the floor, and I'm like, what's the deal with this kid? It was like, oh yeah, that's Scott Barnes.
Beam me up, Scott.
And I'm like, yeah, this guy's gonna be an NBA player one day. And sure enough,
when you saw him at that age, did he like look like a middle school kid, or did he?
No,
have, like,
he
a
looked.
maturity to him?
I looked at him, and I'm like, this kid's like pretty good for a junior. He'll be a Division I kid for sure. And then when I saw he was in 8th grade, I'm like,
oh, okay.
if he's in 8th grade, this guy's an NBA player.
There you go.
So,
Juan was right.
Yeah.
And then what? So Pink, what do you think is going on? Have you been watching any of the series?
I've watched the series. The getting Scotty Barnes back, I think, was huge. Though when he first went down, I thought he was going to be done for the series, and that was big. I do think just that Nick Nurse has a hold of his team. They believe in him. He makes quality adjustments, and they keep fighting. And by doing that, they've literally unnerved the Sixers. And I just think the Sixers, again, with Doc's history, you get to 3-1, and all the stories come back, and it begins to swallow the whole. And now you're 3-2. They're playing in Toronto. It's anybody's series.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Nick Nurse has sold that point perfectly. And the thing is, when you look at Doc's history, what the fuck has gone wrong in these situations?
Well,
Like you can break everyone down and say, well, in this situation, this, that, and the other thing, but there's got to be just a drive to fucking win. That's the job.
There's something that's going on that is plain as day to see. First of all, I think none of this has to do with what Toronto is doing. None of it. None of it. Fucking none of it. Their starting all-star point guard has been out most of the series. He's missed the games he's playing. He's halfway hurt, and he's missed the last 2 games. Scotty got hurt. Fucking, they're already down, man, even with everyone. And then even with everyone, they're already a halfway decent team. Nothing the fucking Toronto Raptors is doing is the reason why they've won the past 2 games.
Okay,
when we went up 3-0, Pink said that his best chance of a sweep in the NBA playoffs was 76. I said, no fucking way. Nick Nurse is going to win a game or 2 in this series. Because I know that. Because Doc Rivers is the worst coach I've ever seen in the entire history of mankind with making adjustments, and I fucking love the Rivers. Jeremiah is my boy. I talk to him still on IG. Shout out to Austin and all these guys. But listen, man, the guy does not fucking make adjustments. He just doesn't. He goes, he has his fucking paper, he has his list, and he's going to the game, and whatever the fuck happens, whatever's on this paper is what we're doing today. I'm not going to see any game adjustments. Whatever happened in game 3, the Raptors won, we're going to come out and do the same fucking thing in the next game. Embiid gets doubled and tripled. We're not going to create any easier action. We're still going to run game-winning shots for him at the 3-point line when we only need 2. It's a tie fucking game, and your best play to win the fucking game is a turnaround 3-pointer from your 7'2" center, and if he misses it, all of a sudden he's criticized on him. He's the reason why we're fucking in this predicament. Him and his coaching staff.
Well,
and James Harden.
I wonder internally. Well, I'm glad you mentioned James Harden, but I wonder internally, does Nick Nurse and his staff do they kind of like internally laugh at Doc? And be like, this guy's not going to be able to adjust.
He's the laughingstock of the league.
But I'm being honest. Like, I just wonder because I know when I was coaching, I was very big on laughing at other people. I didn't respect a lot of people, and I thought it was like, this is just funny. We'll do this, and this guy's not going to have any answers. And I wonder if Nick Nurse has the same belief. And James Harden is a shell of his former self. He is essentially done as a preeminent all-star.
Well, I'm just gonna say
I don't believe that. But go ahead.
You said the Toronto Raptors have nothing to do. Well, you should thank them because they handed the Sixers Game 3 on a silver platter.
No,
they should be up 3-2.
Won that game.
Okay, yeah, they should be up 3-2 in the series.
He was the best player on the planet in that game.
If Achua makes a free throw, this game doesn't go into overtime.
I don't know that. I could say the same thing. Embiid shot what was that? 88% from the free throw line. Okay, if he shoots 100% like he's done in a couple of games, okay, you can say that. Miss free throw here. If Embiid makes a free throw there, then what? I mean, we can do that. Embiid was the greatest player in the game, in the NBA, in that game. You're not going to. It's hard as hell to defeat a guy who's playing at that level and who belongs in that echelon of players. It's just hard.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it no matter who you're playing against.
So let me just finish by saying this. So this series, what we're talking about now, the Philadelphia is in the midst of a long series, and may or may not be in the midst of other long series in the playoffs. This predicament was established on February 10th when they traded for James Harden. They could right now. They could use Seth Curry and Andre Drummond.
No, we can't. No, we can't. No, we can't. No, we can't. We had to get rid of those guys. We didn't need those guys. I still stand by that. Shout out to Daryl Morey. I still stand by that trade.
Why though? Because I mean, James Harden has been underwhelming.
This could be the biggest lose-lose trade in NBA history for both sides.
I don't disagree with that.
James Harden already, in his present form, James Harden is the best point guard in the 76ers history. In his present form. He's the best point guard in the history of Philadelphia 76ers.
Your idol.
We don't have point guards.
Your idol, who I saw this weekend, would like a word with you.
Who is my idol?
Guy named Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson played point guard for literally 10 games in his entire 76ers career. He did not play point guard.
Okay, well,
he did not play.
He's still a better point guard 76ers uniform than
He's
Iverson.
a terrible point guard. Allen Iverson couldn't play him
But here's the point. There's no way you could be satisfied with what James Harden's brought to the table.
I'm okay with what he's brought to the table.
I'm
okay with what he brought to the table.
You're too easily pleased, my friend.
It depends.
They invented the phrase "hand job heaven" for you, because that's just unacceptable.
I will settle for a few hand jobs. So.
Oh, no,
but listen,
when that trade is made, I fully expected James Harden to have a little vengeance streak. A little, let me remind you who the fuck I am.
He's not able.
That's my point. That's the sad
I can't
truth
be
of it.
mad at a
and
man
that's why,
for getting old.
Fuck that.
He's getting old.
Then put him out to pasture.
That's your
don't
excuse,
trade for
huh?
him.
It's not an excuse. He's getting old.
Then don't trade for him.
Yes. We still need a point guard. What do you want? You want Seth Curry? Did you see that fucking atrocity? We had to put Shake Milton there. We had no point guard. Tyrese Maxey is not a point guard. We had no point guard. We want
but
best case scenario, you guys are correct. Best case scenario, you want James Harden to come in, drop 30, drop 40 when needed. Not every night.
Well, no, but what I'm saying, just as a literal competitor, there was no spike in performance upon arrival. There was
no. It was. We had a 5-game stretch and he played very well. He played very well. And then he's had some games where he's been underwhelming as a scorer. But James Harden is still not even just in 76ers history. James Harden is still a top 5 point guard in today's league. Right now in present form.
Wouldn't take that.
Right off the bat. Yes, he's a start. He's a top 5 point guard. He'll still make an all-star team next year. He will still because he can distribute the ball.
All-star games are made on legacy.
He can distribute the ball with the best of them. He just can.
Yeah, well.
But he doesn't do enough other stuff at this point.
What other stuff do you want him to do? But score a lot?
Score more effectively than he has.
At the end of the day,
maybe chip in some fucking defense.
At the end of the day, this is a player's
If he was
league.
doing all that, you wouldn't be 3-2 with the fucking Raptors.
Okay.
Yes, we would.
No, you wouldn't.
Is Doc Rivers my coach? Is Doc Rivers my coach?
That's no.
No, I'm telling you, in this scenario that you bring it, is Doc Rivers my coach?
He's
if
your
yes,
coach,
then we're down 3-2.
If you have a top 5 point guard in basketball and the MVP, you're still not.
He had Kawhi Leonard playing at the top of the fucking league. Kawhi Leonard was the best player in the league for that stretch. Paul George was playing out of his fucking mind, and they lost a 3-0 lead. What are we talking about?
3-1.
This is 3-1 league. This is Doc. It's
not all him. It's not all him.
I just told you, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George is a better. That's a better pairing. They were playing better basketball.
Paul George has always been a scrub.
They were playing better. He wasn't a scrub that year. He was in the MVP conversation.
He's born a scrub. He'll die a scrub.
We have to talk about what they were doing at that time.
At the end of the day, this is a players' league, and you look in games 4 and 5. Pascal and OG have flat out outplayed Embiid and Harden. And
why?
If they
adjustments.
No, it's not all adjustments. It's not all adjustments. So
you guys don't see the game is being played differently from the Toronto Raptors side.
Players make plays.
The game is being played completely different.
Yeah,
they're not running the same sets from game 1 and 2 than game 3, 4. It's not like this the same playbook and the same plays. They're running different sets. They have Achua, the guy that guy, he's playing way more minutes, and they're having him guard Embiid and double.
Because they have
ton
to.
of adjustments.
Yeah, because
they
they
made
have
ton of
to.
adjustments. What are you guys talking about? And
We're
Doc
not,
hasn't
we're,
made
not,
one.
we're not denying that they're making adjustments, but at some point,
That's
players on the floor got to get shit done.
Yeah, but if you don't,
And they're not.
That's a hawkish shit because you have to
It's
make the
not a hawkish
adjustments,
shit.
and then the players have to do it.
Okay, so Embiid
One comes before the other.
What did Embiid score in the first 3 games? He had like 28. What was it? 32.
Yeah.
And 31, right?
In
The
the-
last in the first 3 games. The last 2 games he's had 21 and 20.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's
because we're running the same exact thing when they're changing their defenses up. We ran the same with the game 4. He kind of struggled, you could say. Yeah, he had 24, right?
No, 21.
21.
Or 20. 20 or 21.
No. Game 5 he had 20. He had
Okay.
a couple more points.
Then he
game
had
4.
21 in game 4.
And then we come out in game 5, and we just lost the game prior. We come out in game 5, and by golly, we do the exact same shit. We run Embiid at the 3-point line and free throw line. The same shit.
Okay.
They're running different doubles and triples at you, Doc. How about we run some different shit?
Okay, well,
At the same time,
follow
when-
Denver Nuggets.
When you are doubled, I mean, it's simple basketball.
It
at that
is. It
point.
should be.
That doesn't come off the bench. That comes off the fucking players.
No, that's not.
100%.
What? Okay.
If
So
you're
if you're
sending
watching that from the
double-
sideline,
if you're sending a double,
Yes.
There's an open guy.
it should be right.
There
So
is,
if you're on the
by
sideline,
facts.
why are you? Why are we not running that simple action? Why are you not telling him,
There's
hey,
not no
hey,
against a double team. It's not. It's a reaction. It's not an action.
yes, but there
But
are.
that's something that happens on the floor among players.
So there's nothing the coach can say. Hey,
There's a little, but you're trying to say that's 100% on that, and it's not.
I'm not, yeah, that's just that particular thing, the doubles and triples.
Right, but if I mean,
That's just
that's
that
the
particular thing.
You read it, you make the play.
Yeah, but there's ways you can make it easier for him. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they
but,
make
but
it
again,
easier.
like what we're saying too is when you're the fucking MVP and you're a top 5 point guard, you do sort this out quite a bit.
But here's the other thing too is and again I'll give the Raptors credit for this. They are being as physical as you can be in the post and in those double and triple teams. So at what point does this become an issue of adjustments as to whether if I'm Embiid, I'm going down the floor in the post every time? And remember, this was an issue with Brett Brown as the coach, where Embiid would just stand on the perimeter and jack jump shots because he was just tired of taking a beating down low, and the Raptors are beating the absolute dog crap out of him. Like, we're not talking about a simple double team. We're talking about he's coming down the paint and he's getting a shoulder from the initial defender, and then that double team comes and they're putting like a forearm in his back. So this is more than just adjustments. It's the level of physicality also, and I will give Nick Nurse credit this. I'm not big on talking about the refs in the post games or even trying to ride them during games, because I just think that there's certain refs that just say, listen, this guy's a freaking baby, shut the hell up. But Nick Nurse, the way this series has been officiated has differed a lot from games 1 and 2, and in games 2 you saw that Nurse and Embiid were going back and forth, jawing a little bit, and the games 4 and 5, and even game 3 to an extent, was officiated a lot differently. And the Raptors,
Masterclass. Once again, Nick Nurse he's putting on a fucking master class.
Yeah,
he's severely out coaching our coaching staff. Severely. I mean, every time from officiating to up to.
Look, I don't dispute that. I get it. I mean, we can shit on Doc. I get it, but that's not the only thing going wrong.
Listen, yeah,
That's the point
I think that's the main thing.
I'm refusing to, until the series is over and we can fully dissect as to what happened. It's hard to really take a look at at coaches, because again, if you look at the way Philadelphia has performed the last 2 games relative to the first 3, James Harden has not been good at all, and Embiid, his performance has declined. And again, this you can say the same thing about the Nets versus Celtics series.
To be fair, Embiid has an injury.
Yeah.
And that's going to affect some efficiency.
Yeah, but you can say the same thing about the Nets versus Celtics series. At the end of the day, players have to get stuff done. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving cannot get outplayed as badly as they did by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Like your franchise, your team is built on those 2 guys outperforming the other 2 teams' best players every night, and they didn't get that done in any game this series. That's why they got swept.
The absurdity of that is in that Boston-Brooklyn series, every game was relatively close. Every game was winnable.
Those are some really good games.
And none of these games were 15-point wins.
And they said that the 2 of the best closers in the NBA. I mean, you got to close one.
Well, game one,
one,
Durant turns his head, a elementary defensive mistake. Yeah. Tatum beats him backdoor for the layup. Games 2 and 3, I didn't watch game 4, so I can't make an assessment on that. But games 2 and 3, they were close in the score, but watching that game, I never got a feeling that Brooklyn was going to pull those out. But and I'll just say this, Brooklyn's roster is, before we go about talking about Durant this, Durant that, like, their 3rd best performer, or you can even say their 2nd best, from a consistency standpoint, Bruce Brown.
Yeah, Bruce.
Yeah.
I don't think that having a six NBA player rotation and having Bruce Brown as one of your top 3 performers can win you a playoff series against any team that's in the playoffs, let alone the Boston Celtics.
But it helps. I mean, in theory, you're right. If your 2 best players are playing great, and then you have Bruce had a hell of a series, then you're cooking with sauce.
And it's almost the same issue with Philadelphia. It's like
we don't have anyone.
Maxey stepped up big.
Had 1 game.
Yeah, he's stepped up big.
He's been horrific ever since game 1.
But see, and that's the nature of the beast here. I mean, that's like you have to have guys like that. When you're the winning team, typically you go down the line and you had multiple guys who stepped up big. I mean, Boston could look at Grant Williams in Game 4, hit a couple big dagger threes out of the corner, did what he needed to do. Victory has 1,000 fathers, and orphans defeats an orphan. And it's true, because when your team wins, it's because you get multiple contributions across the roster.
No question. And you look at teams, so you have teams like Brooklyn, and I'm not ready to put the Sixers in this conversation yet, versus teams like Milwaukee, Phoenix, teams that have, and Boston, teams that have quality depth. They have a guy go down. They have 1, 2, 3 guys that step right in and step up. And Boston has been relatively healthy, but the 2 biggest injuries of the playoffs, Middleton and Booker, those teams haven't really missed a beat. New Orleans played their ass off in Game 4, and even in Game 3 and for most of yesterday, they've played their ass off, and they have the series at 3-2. But
I mean, I think if Booker's healthy, that series is over 4-1, maybe 4-0. So it's caused a problem. It's made this a little bit more uncomfortable than it needed to be. And I also think the loss of Middleton, and it could probably cost a game in the series.
Middleton played in Game 2 in a game. Listen, they played like absolute dog crap the first couple games. Milwaukee did, and they have just coasted ever since.
Yeah.
And then obviously tonight, Caruso and Levine being out really hurts them, and again, it's a matter of circumstance. But this Milwaukee-Boston series is going to be a great series. It's going to be very interesting to see if and when Middleton can come back. I don't think it's going to be probably till Game 5 maybe, if the series could even
But
go that far.
you're going to see what the best player in the league is supposed to look like against that defense. And I'm ahead of the train saying that. If they stall Greek Freak, they stall him. But I'm ahead of the train saying, and without his second best player, like, you know, you're going to see like what it looks like.
Yeah, but Milwaukee has shot makers and playmakers at a high level though. Like you're not they're not adjusting to Bruce Brown and a washed
But you can't say
Blake
that,
Griffin
but-
and Nick Claxton. Like you have
Well,
guys.
what's up with this? You just raised hell for Seth Curry and RJ Drummond. Name them too. You just said, "Oh, you should have kept them." So
no.
you gotta name them too.
Time out.
No.
Drummond is washed.
You just said we should have kept them. You just said we would have been greater if we would have kept them. You can't say he's washed now.
No. Listen. Those guys can play rotational minutes better than Blake Griffin and Goran Dragic.
Yeah, but Gordon didn't see the floor much. But Gordon is watched. And Blake is watched.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's who Brooklyn was playing.
Although, I mean, I'll give Blake credit. I mean, he
Blake
I thought he
came
played
in.
well.
Yeah.
Blake came in and played well.
He really
with his
did.
energy.
But even then, like Jaylen Brown, like anybody he was guarding was just it was he was getting cooked.
Well, and here's one thing that just has to stop league wide. Stop buying into these fucking over the hill guys to populate to populate what you believe is a championship roster.
You know who mastered that, right?
LeBron?
No.
Who?
Doc.
Oh, yeah.
That when the Celtics,
Yeah.
it worked in 2008. I'll give him that.
But I mean, LeBron's done the same shit too. Like,
Yeah.
it's a thing. Like people do that. Like you get the veteran guy at the end of his career and hope it. Like actually, it probably goes to the damn Heat title in 2006 because they had like Jay Will and Gary Payton and aging Shaq.
Yeah,
I
but-
mean, they made it work.
Right.
But it's just not a consistent recipe. You know, it fucked the Lakers when they brought in Karl Malone and Gary Payton then.
Yeah.
You know, it's just this is not a model for success.
Well, you can't really compare that because Kobe's case and his feud with Shaq was the reason they didn't win that
Karl
title.
Malone got hurt.
Yeah.
The Iron Man
And
of
old
basketball.
guys get hurt.
That's my point.
Yeah, that's your point. Yeah.
The Iron Man of pedophiles got injured, and it cost the Lakers a title. So
Oh, my goodness.
that's it, man. He's like the Lou Gehrig of pedophiles and missed game 2001.
He didn't like Magic Johnson either.
No, but see, that's the. But no, we see it every year. People load up with
That's a true point.
with names,
Yeah.
on some team. Like the Lakers did it this year too. Let's bring in Carmelo Anthony. Let's bring in Dwight Howard for his third fucking
DeAndre
tour.
Jordan.
These dudes are DeAndre Jordan. Get that motherfucker out of the league.
He should have been out of the league like 2
Get
years
him
ago.
into a fucking crack house.
Well, I will.
Old folks home.
I will
That
give.
motherfucker's more done than Don Cornelius.
I will give Doc credit that he's playing b-ball Paul over him as
He had
Embiid's
to.
back.
Finally.
He had to.
Finally.
We were fucking going to murder Doc. He literally refused to play b-ball Paul over DeAndre. DeAndre was outrageously god awful.
And he's
the
been
entire
for like
year.
3 or 4 years now.
B-ball Paul was destroying the G League. You know what I mean? He was destroying it. He would come in, play effective. Before DeAndre, and he just wouldn't play. But anyway, we're done with the Doc thing. We're done with that. But I just wanted to get that out.
One thing I was going to say though about the Boston and Milwaukee series coming up.
Yeah.
As dysfunctional as Brooklyn's been, like, do we almost feel too good about the Celtics because they beat a dysfunctional team?
I don't.
You feel really
I
good
mean,
about
I said it. We're giving Boston way too much credit for beating a team that had 6 NBA
Well, that's
players.
what I just said.
Yeah.
You're-
I said that.
Yeah, so you're accepting the cautionary note that I said. Like it was satisfying to watch Boston win this. I enjoyed it, but there's a side where we can't overplay them because they did beat a pretty dysfunctional team.
Yeah.
But they took care of business.
Respect for that. Respect for that.
Yeah, you gotta have respect for that, and I think they should be respected, man. They're one of the top teams, and they can easily go to the NBA Finals.
You know what? You know what is going to be a fun matchup in that series for me is Drew and Marcus Smart.
Oh yeah.
That should be just two dogs, man, just battling.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
I don't think they'll guard each other a lot.
They will at times, but
At
just
times.
but
But just
what they
both of
do
them on
for
the
each other's
floor.
teams,
Yeah, man.
that's gonna be interesting, man.
And fucking edits by Keith with that bullshit Facebook post. J. Rule Holiday, that's my fucking dog, man. Like, he was a part of what led us to the process. I fucking love J. Rule Holiday. I never fucking hated Holiday.
Yeah,
I love Drew.
Drew's one of the most underrated players of all time.
Yeah, man.
Of all time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody makes a statement like that, it like you start thinking, well, who else is in that conversation?
There's quite a few. There's quite a
yeah.
few.
I mean, it just.
There's quite a
We
few.
can go into the overrated, underrated discussion the other day. I got grilled the other day for saying I thought Wade was overrated, but to me he's overrated relative to where he is all time. Like, he's a top 75 player, no doubt, but people talk about him like he's a top 25 player. He's not that.
Correct. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a level
Lord
that he's
knows I've been saying that for
like
years.
the whole like Wade County and just the whole thing. It is overplayed.
He had one great run, and that run was awesome with Dallas. That against versus Dallas, and that playoff run, it was awesome. It was.
But
magical.
it was still like honestly though, going back, I hated that series.
Oh, he was at the free throw line like
and
a
yeah,
billion
because
times.
it literally just felt like he could fling his body into any
Yeah.
traffic and he'd end up on the line. There was nothing enjoyable about watching that.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that are not enjoyable to watch, Karl Anthony Towns. He is a fucking bitch. Like, he should have a lifetime
Is that
deal.
you talking or Jimmy Butler talking?
No, that's me. I cannot stand to watch that man play basketball. He's skilled, he's dynamic, but what is in his heart is a fucking used tampon.
He's the Tin Man.
It's horrible.
Used tampon.
He is. Oh God! I mean, you can't be a bigger bitch. His body language, his whining, his decision making. He gets a little bit offended or bothered, and suddenly he just tries to like bull rush into traffic, and he loses the ball. It's just like he has no poise.
Would it surprise
whatsoever.
you that him and Ben Simmons are good friends?
It would not surprise me if you told him they ass fucked each other. I wouldn't bat an eye.
But I don't have a lot to retort. Cat, yeah, he's a talented guy, man, but he's
It's horrible
missing-
to watch.
He's missing some in the.
It's just horrible. I mean, like the other day, like I was ready to kill him. They were in the tight game yesterday, and like they went a couple possessions with D'Angelo Russell taking shitty shots. At one point, Towns got the ball on the top of the key. He like dribbled the ball off somebody's foot for a turnover, and then finally they give it to my man Anthony Edwards, and he tied the game.
right.
It's like, why were we not doing this? Put Cat spotted up in the corner for a catch and shoot, or on the baseline for a dump down, and give the ball to Anthony Edwards. That's a dude right there. That's what a dude looks like. Now, he also made a horrific defensive mistake that gave the game away. Morant.
He's a young player. That's what
I
he's
don't
gonna
know
do.
excuses, man.
Yeah,
There's no excuse. You're sitting. John Morant was not shooting well from the perimeter, and really hasn't shot well from the perimeter all series. Most of what he's done has been attacking. And you're there in the closing seconds, and you play over the backside. I'm playing under this guy. I'm taller than you. You're gonna have to hit a jump shot.
Yeah, it was a grave mistake.
That was
but
horrific. That was a catastrophic mistake.
Do you think this Minnesota core can do you think they can be something? Do you think that's
No.
a great young core to
No.
have?
yeah. I think
and
I
bank
think their
on it?
core can, but the issue or
Your core consists of one man, Anthony Edwards.
no.
The rest of it is trash.
No, I like Towns. I don't know how much he loves basketball.
No, you don't.
Considering he won't play for the national team, and
You
he's
don't.
Yeah,
dude,
they didn't want either.
If you don't answer the call of your country, like, who the fuck are you?
yeah. You know
I mean, seriously.
I do think
ask
though.
these questions. Take aside talent for a minute and abilities, and just ask, like, what are you about?
Yeah.
I do think now though that his mom passed, and rest in peace to Miss Jackie. I think he will do it if the situation.
That's
right.
what it takes. We got to kill a mom. Come on.
Come
But D'Angelo, I think he could be a really good sixth man coming off the bench. D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah. The difference in the Minnesota-Memphis series, which I hope it goes to a Game 7. I would love to see that.
I think it will.
The depth Memphis has 1-11. I think there's no better 1-11 in the league than Memphis has.
Really? What about Miami? It's close, right?
It's close.
Miami is close.
It's close, but I mean, I think Miami's 1-9 are better. But I mean, Memphis can roll out John Conchar in a game, and he'll be effective.
He hasn't got a minute, has he?
No, he's played.
Oh, did he?
He's played
Okay.
some, yeah.
Okay, here's my question: were you guys watching the game last night live?
No,
Yeah,
we were
called
playing
some.
basketball.
No, I was playing basketball.
Oh, okay.
I played good too.
Because, like, I mean, it was one of those moments when Minnesota's been like really erratic all series. They gave up a 20+ point lead in one of the earlier games, so you know they're not stable. But there were when Ja had that dunk, and I think they were still down like maybe 12 after the dunk. I just felt like that changes everything. That watching it live, I definitely felt that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. If you're just seeing the highlights, I don't think you appreciate it that way. But as it happened live, you're just like, no, this is different. Minnesota's not going to win.
Yeah, the issue, like Minnesota is with Cat, Anthony Edwards, Russell Beasley, and I'll even put Pat Bev into that category. They're all pretty good players, and you can rely on them in playoff situations. I don't know about anybody else.
But can you, though? Edwards is the only one worth saving. But I despise Pat Bev. In the game the other night, in the fourth quarter, he throws this, there's a guy ahead of the field. I think it was the Vanderbilt guy. And he's clean at the basket. And Pat Bev throws this bizarro pass that's like half lob, and if you're throwing a lob, that's fine. He probably could have got it, but it was like not quite a lob, but it was a slow pass. So by the time he catches it, he's got defenders on him. And then he's like giving the gestures to Vanderbilt like he did something wrong. I'm like, motherfucker, throw me a proper pass. I mean, this is fourth quarter. You're Pat Bev. You're a veteran.
Yeah.
You're this competitive guy. Don't act like the other guy made a mistake because of your shitty pass.
Yeah, Pat. With Pat Bev though, you have to give and take. So
I'm taking him out with the trash.
I don't think they make the playoffs without him.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Yeah. Listen, I watched this team
Pat
live.
Bev, hero of the play-in.
I watched this team live last year.
What a resume.
In 2020, 2021, and I'm like. I watch them, and I'm like, there's no way this team can be the worst team in the league. And they were the worst team in the league. Record-wise, they were the worst team in the league. And I'm like, this team needs a couple veterans to come in and tighten these dudes up. And Pat Bev was that guy. He brought a defensive intensity. He brought a leadership aspect. And really, if you think about it, the Clippers didn't want him and Memphis didn't want him. And he parlayed the Minnesota situation into a 1-year, $13 million extension, which is great for him. Now,
and send the Clippers home.
Yeah.
And potentially could send Memphis home.
Yeah.
Unlikely, but could happen.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that Pat Bev is the greatest basketball player. I think he makes a lot of team defensive mistakes because he's selfish defensively, and what I mean by that is
I understand
he'll try to guard a guy or do somebody else's job when he's supposed to rotate or do something else, and he tries to go
That's me all day.
He tries to be heroic defensively, which I thought has been the knock on him. His entire
he sees
career.
defense as a singular exercise of manhood and not a concept of a team construct.
1,000%. That's the best way to describe it. And you can't fucking blame him. You want to be that cornerback.
You can blame
You
him.
want to be that cornerback. I can shut you down. You can't score on me.
Yeah,
And
which
so
is why
if they come and screen me, if they come and do this, I'm still going to be on you. I don't give a fuck
But
who else gets over.
here's how you can blame him, because you're not a rookie. You're not a second year.
Yeah.
You've been in the league.
Yeah.
You've probably began to deal with your own sort of athletic diminishment to a degree.
Yeah.
And it's like, we have to get smarter as we age.
No, I agree.
Which is
I agree.
which is why
and it's a poor excuse.
Russell Westbrook said, "Hey man, Pat Bev just be running around fooling y'all or something like that."
I agree.
And that's what Westbrook means. And I'll just look at the last play of the game yesterday. The Anthony Edwards gamble. You could say, "Oh, he's a young guy." That's something exactly Pat Bev would do. I saw him do it all the time with the Clippers. I saw him do it even when he was a rookie in Houston.
When you watch the play happen, you're like, "Oh, that's Pat Bev, right?"
Yeah, to a T.
For real.
No, 100%.
You nailed that.
Because
Yeah.
he would have been the hero if he get the steal. Yeah, 100%. Hold on, we want to take a quick break because I want to get back and get some John here. Now, I kind of want to talk about Ja Morant. The discussion is Ja versus D Rose. So I kind of want to talk about that.
I think if D Rose is the wrong guy to compare him to. We have to
This
guy Chuck says we're slandering Wade. I'm not slandering Wade. I just said he's not a top 25 player of all
And
time.
he's not a top 3 shooting guard of all time either, Chuck Wagon.
No, man, no Chuck. But before we get to break here, I want to give a quick shout out to GM5 League. It is a local league here in the area. They play on Saturdays in Winter Park off Formosa Avenue. You can look up GM5 on Instagram and on Facebook. It's a really dope league. Get into it. If you're still out here hooping, maybe you can even get in a league like GM5. They have an opportunity coming up in a month or two.
Give us a free team, you punks.
So we can win the whole thing like we were supposed to.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. Don't forget, man, On the Bench with Bubba and Pink, On the Bench podcast is on all streaming platforms. Like and subscribe however you're watching and whenever you're watching. Let's get to a quick video here. Let's go to IE, man. I like IE, man. Sun Rays. I played this like 2 weeks in a row.
That's good. Make it 3. Hat trick for IE.
Sun Rays. Yeah. Girl, I know our situation, but please don't keep me waiting. Hey, girl, I know our situation, but please don't keep me waiting. I just hope that you're not wasting my time. Girl, I know our situation, but please don't keep me waiting. I just hope that you're not wasting my time. You know me from the beginning, I know you right from the start. With you, girl, I know I'm winning, 'cause you came and stole my heart. We might fight sometimes, some days, but we gon' make it right somehow, some way. I know he broke your heart, but that's okay, 'cause baby girl, your light shine like sun rays, sun rays. I love you for you, but lucky for me, you love me the same. Nothing could change the way that I feel, the way that I still get lost in the sauce from calling your name. I used to be down, I used to be out. I had no idea what love was about, but you came along to right all my wrongs, to water the seeds so I could sprout. Got love for your daughter, love for your mother, even your father. Shout out to God for making it clear. The prettiest smile, the prettiest hair. If you could sing, it wouldn't be fair. Your love is a drug, it's more than enough, taking me high the moment I fear. Hey, girl, I know our situation, but please don't keep me waiting. I just hope that you're not wasting my time. Girl, I know our situation, but please don't keep me waiting.
All right, you guys are back on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink. That was IE with Sun Rays, man. I love that song, man. I fucking love that song. Shout out to IE, man. IE knows it is on all streaming platforms. We want to talk about Ja Morant, man. Ja Morant has been tearing up the league, up the playoffs. He's had a couple of stinkers, but he led his team to victory last game. Had a crazy dunk, and now the talk is he's the new age D Rose, and a lot of people are saying he's better than Derrick Rose. All right, so what are you guys thinking about that here, man?
Well, I think that first of all, we shouldn't be talking about Ja versus Derrick Rose. We should be talking about Ja is this generation's Allen Iverson.
Interesting.
Culturally transcendent player that I'm not, just from a pure basketball standpoint, and even outside of basketball, I don't know anybody that says, "Man, I don't like Ja Morant."
I like that. I guess I would ask you to elaborate on the cultural impact but here's and I agree with you though. Like Iverson, I thought it was more clear what the cultural impact he was like truly culturally. Ja though, there's a thing like people gravitate to him. They just kind of love him. Like there's a real absence of haters, and there's a lot of people who just almost go out of their way to give a shout out. Before we started this show, our guy came in the studio and was like, "You're gonna talk about Ja, right?" He has a resonance that I haven't put my finger on, but you made that cultural argument, Juan. Kind of elaborate on that in your estimation, because I do think there's something there.
Well, the NBA has always been a market league, correct? There's a lot of stars.
Since Magic and Larry. Yeah,
since Magic, Larry, Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, LeBron for the most part they've all Kevin Durant for I would say the most part Curry. They've all been in relatively major markets. LeBron could have been a force wherever he went. Same with Kevin Durant. Memphis has been in the NBA for 20 plus years now, and they've had some pretty good players there. Jason Williams, Zebo, Marc Gasol, Tony Allen, very accomplished players. But Ja Morant literally put Memphis on the world map. He's, as a third year player.
I think I feel where you're going. Okay, so yeah, I think it's a package. Derrick Rose in Chicago was dynamic and great, but he was never going to be Michael. Michael's always going to own Chicago. And I think in Memphis, you have a dynamic, athletic point guard in a place that's never really had a player like that. You watch every Jason Williams mixtape, it's 90% Sacramento.
Yep.
And that matters. And then the other thing with Ja that I think is significant is he's a small guy.
Yeah.
And people like that. Like he feels like an underdog. He's a small, relentless, athletic dude for the small market team. And he's just going at people.
Yeah, Iverson.
And that's a little bit with the Iverson vibe.
I think that the Iverson is I think it's a poor comparison for a lot of different reasons. Number one, the play styles are completely different.
I disagree, though. Iverson literally played at 1,000% all the time, would go to the basket with a reckless abandon, and he wouldn't dunk over guys like Morant does. But Morant is going.
Iverson was, and that's my favorite player of all time. But he's way more inefficient, and he's not a playmaker at all. Iverson was a 0% playmaker. Ja Morant is a top 5 point guard when we're just talking about distributing the basketball. The play styles are completely different.
I acknowledge there's a difference in the play style, but there's an essential similarity
I was going.
in the relentlessness. And then like Iverson, like you watch a Memphis game, you watch a Sixers game with Iverson, they end up on the floor a ton.
Yeah,
and like they keep getting up. That's the part that I think people get, and it matters.
Embiid hits the floor just as much.
But Embiid's a 7-foot guy. It's different.
I don't know. Maybe you guys didn't see a lot of Iverson games. I saw a ton of them. I just don't think.
I saw a ton of them. I think you're too fixated on the style of play. The difference.
Well, that was just one. I was going to keep going, but the styles of play are completely different. I can't agree to that point. And then number two, when you talk about culturally, Ja is not a culture. He has no cultural impact to this date. Yeah, people like him. People like him, but people like Curry. People love Trae Young. People love they love them just as much as people love Ja Morant.
And that's the point I made earlier.
Like there's not more love for any one of these players than Ja.
I think that Curry and Trae Young, especially Trae Young, are two of the most hated players in the league.
No, what are you talking about?
Who hates them? Trae Young more so than Steph.
Yeah, but people still. Nobody hates Curry. Who hates Curry? Curry?
Man,
No.
I think
I must be on Twitter too much because I literally.
Well, you keep going on Twitter, you'll see some Ja Morant hate too. I mean, people hate just because they're.
You must
shitty
follow
people.
the wrong people. I mean, if you hate Steph Curry, you need to look in the mirror and find the enemy.
Yes, I agree.
Like that's just retarded.
I just
man.
don't see that. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm following the right people because I don't see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you look and you dive. I don't say you're lying. You look and you dive. You'll find negative about anybody.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
that's
for
just
sure,
the way.
for sure.
That's just the way life goes. But yeah, I don't think he's more of a likable character than anybody. And culturally, he has no impact to this date. I'm not saying nothing can happen soon, but Iverson has so much cultural impact to his culture.
Yeah.
Specifically with the cornrows and the way they tried to change the rules that you couldn't dress to come to the game, wearing jewelry, all that is Iverson.
But Ja,
which added to his cultural impact.
but Ja. I mean, again, Ja has put Memphis on the world radar.
I understand what you're saying, but and again, when you first mentioned culture, I feel more like Bubba on that because there was like what Iverson did at that point, and even the league's decision to try to impose those rules, it almost made Iverson stronger.
Yeah. It almost made him stronger.
It's like you white people have to come up with these rules to harness this guy.
Yeah,
but the D Rose I think is spot on because number one their play styles are similar, number one, and then number two you have where D Rose had that awesome MVP type year, and then he got hurt, but Ja Morant to this date, we just talking about to this current date, he's having a MVP like season. You know what I mean? It's just so similar. I mean, you said about the team and putting that city on the map. Well, yeah, Chicago had Jordan, but they were completely god awful for a while. You know what I mean? After Jordan, he brought them back on the map, I guess you could say. That D Rose did that. You know what I mean? So out of the thin blue sky too. So I don't know.
Thin blue sky.
Yeah.
Was he like the top pick in the draft?
I mean, I'm saying they didn't think he was going to get to the number one seed in the East. I mean, like they didn't have those expectations for that Bulls team.
But when you're talking about
and Memphis is what, third in the West this year, they didn't have those expectations for Memphis Grizzlies and things like that.
Yeah, but when you're talking about the league's second smallest television market, being able to produce a worldwide star, and what I mean by a worldwide star, like I'll ask an 8-year-old in the middle of Dominican Republic who some of his favorite players are, and he's like, Ja Morant. You know what I mean?
D Rose was the same way. D Rose was there. D Rose was there. I think we're forgetting how big and how great D Rose actually was. And that happens after time. I mean, it's just
listen, D Rose.
Well, it happens when you get hurt early in your career.
D Rose
huge.
He's in the Penny Hardaway, Brandon Roy.
He was better than both and had a
category.
greater career than both. He was better and had a greater career than both. Neither was MVP of the league.
I'm not saying better than Penny Hardaway.
Listen,
he was better than Penny.
No.
Listen,
I saw Penny.
The comparison with those two is.
He wasn't better than Penny.
What if
he was?
What
he
if
was
either
not
of those
Penny.
guys didn't suffer career derailing injuries, and in Brandon Roy's case, career ending?
Career ending, yeah.
Those guys were.
I was never a Brandon Roy guy. Like I never.
He was cold.
I would never. I mean, to me, good, but I'd never put him in the mention of those other two guys.
He's a really good two guard.
Really good two guard.
There's very few people that I've seen single-handedly win playoff games. Luka, Allen Iverson, Giannis, Brandon Roy, Game 4, 2011 against Dallas. I'll never forget it.
That's a loose statement. I don't know. That's a
Literally won them the game by himself, and that was against the world champion Mavericks.
Did we mention LeBron against the Pistons?
Yeah, that one too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know.
Wade against the Mavs in 06 also, even with the help of the free throw line.
Answer this. For this comparison, who is the better basketball player? Derrick Rose in his prime or Ja Morant now?
God, that's a tough one.
Maybe I should have led with that.
Man,
Yeah, that is a really tough one.
I don't like answering these questions because I think a lot of it has to do with how the team ultimately ends up doing. And the series, if they make it against to the Warriors, what happens in that series is ultimately going to determine.
And we are having this conversation in the context where they might not make it out of the
That's
first
what
round.
I mean. Yeah, that's why I said if
It can go.
Yeah, I mean, I think they will based on getting that game 5, but it's not over.
Yeah. No, that's true.
We'll be looking foolish next week if they're back home.
Man, gosh, this is such a tough statement, but I will say Derrick Rose only because his final body of work was he wins the MVP in a year where LeBron in his prime was probably the best player in the league.
Yeah,
that
but
year.
let's not forget.
He led them to a number 1 seed.
But in those playoffs, in the fourth quarter of each of those games that matter, LeBron put the fucking clamps on him and made him look like a JV guy.
Yeah,
but that's the best LeBron we've ever seen.
I know, but that
could be the best player.
That cannot be forgotten.
But
the MVP.
But when we talk about the greatest player of all time,
the MVP
that's not fair pay.
Got clamps.
That's not fair pay.
And put in solitary confinement.
That's not fair pay.
Yeah,
life is not fair.
That's arguably the greatest player we've ever seen.
Well, then that tells you
that version.
Then that
of
tells
LeBron.
you that Derrick Rose should not have ever been MVP.
That doesn't show you
It
that.
100% told me that. There's no way, but how can you argue with this? You are the reigning MVP, and this other man puts you in prison in a playoff game. It's not competitive. You look like a JV guy.
That's accurate.
You can't sit there.
Everything
and say,
you're saying is accurate,
and that's what I'm saying.
But it's a regular season award. You can't you can't lose that.
I don't always respect the MVP voting because I think it gets trendy. It has fatigue when a great
I
player.
hate the fatigue about it.
I mean, to me, LeBron should have been MVP all 4 years of Miami.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not the first year, but all 4 because they struggled even in the regular season. I know they got to the finals, but the regular season was pretty rocky.
Yeah,
for much of it.
MVPs to me are a very complicated award. Only in the sense is people like to argue about it in the wrong context. Like I'll give you an example. Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is a great player. He just happens to be stuck in probably the worst possible matchup he can have against a Golden State team who is pretty good. And
it's a bad matchup, but and I don't talk favorably about Nikola a lot, but he got a game. And I'm a strong believer in the best players get a game in the playoff series. They do not get swept. And he's without his 2 best players, and he came out and he was struggling somewhat for a great player who was struggling in the beginning throughout most of the series. In that last game, he fucking had a great game and he got a win.
Yeah, listen, I mean, this is in terms of the matchup. The Warriors, in terms of talent, it's lopsided. Like you have Poole, who's playing at an unbelievably high level. You have you have probably the best defensive player in the league in Draymond Green. You have Clay and Curry, who their resumes speak for themselves, and you have Nikola Jokic playing with Will Barton in Austin.
Yeah, and Clay's picked it up. He's picked it up particularly.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's not Clay, but he's picked it up.
But definitely.
Yeah, and Jokic is a phenomenal basketball player, and he's getting. Oh well, this is your guys' MVP. I mean, listen, He led that roster without Porter and Murray to a non-play-in 6 seed, and he had the most win shares in the league in the past 5 years. I mean, to me, he's the unquestioned MVP.
Really?
Yes.
I would give it to Embiid this year.
It's tough. Embiid is individually probably been a better player, but Jokic has unquestionably had more value to his team.
This goes and again, this kind of goes to the point you kind of started but didn't really make. Is the whole nature of funkiness of the MVP. On some fundamental level, if somebody doesn't sabotage themselves with a significant injury that criminally reduces their participation in the season, on some level, when you go to MVP, I always feel compelled to say, if these two guys were playing for their lives, who am I betting on?
Yeah.
And that's why I would go back with the LeBron back in the year that D-Wade won. And because the way that playoff worked out, LeBron had a chance to prove it. And, right now, for the course of this season, I would put my money on Embiid, and that's why I feel more comfortable just rocking with him as MVP.
Yeah, we'll see, man. It should be extremely close, whatever the fucking vote comes out to be, but it should be extremely close. But let's move on to Pink reaction here, man.
All right.
This is where we give Pink a minute to react to all of the trending topics.
The trending
that
topics
we have, man. So let's get here.
If you're a trending topic, I'm going to react.
I'm going to get my clock ready here. Now, Pink, the first is a simple question here.
Okay.
Where do you see the Boston Celtics, of course, swept the Brooklyn Nets? What is the upside to this Boston Celtics team this year? What is their ceiling? I'm sorry.
I regard them as a championship contender. I think that there's a scenario where they could win a title. There's a couple of other teams I put in that category, so I'm not here to say I would bet the farm on it. But Celtics could legitimately win a title. It's a deep roster. It's largely healthy right now, which is an advantage over a lot of other teams in the playoffs. And they're battle tested in a lot of ways. That core has been together for a long time, and I think they're tough out and a legitimate contender.
Yeah, the winner of the Boston-Milwaukee series to me represents the East in the finals.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. All right, next topic here. Golden State Warriors, man, are they the new with these injuries, with the Devin Booker injury, things like that? Is the Golden State Warriors the team to beat right now on that side of the bracket?
They are for me. I've been with the Warriors all year. I think when fully healthy, which we barely have seen, they are the deepest, most talented team in the West, and they're my favorite to win it the whole thing this year. Again, I love the championship timber of the veteran core. I like the way Poole's playing. I know Wiggins is a little hot and cold, but he can do stuff, and it's just a tough roster. They're my favorite.
All right. Now, Pink, I don't know if you heard, but a bride and a caterer in Longwood, right by Lake Mary and Sanford, over here in Seminole County.
Right by the office.
Right by the office. A bride and a caterer were arrested just a few days ago, or last week or something, after wedding guests complained about their food was laced with marijuana. They had lasagna, they had some and they had some sweets and stuff, and all of the food was laced with marijuana, and everyone after the reception was feeling woozy and feeling like they were on the moon, and it was a surprise. They didn't know it, things like that, man. So
was
go
this
ahead,
like
man.
bad weed though, like where you got something worse than a normal weed reaction?
Nah, just weed, but nobody wants to have weed in their food that they don't know they're eating weed in their food.
Yeah, this is one of those ones. why? Like, I mean, if you're like a total weed head and everybody at your wedding is probably a weed head too, it's like this, that probably should have been on the invitation. Like,
Right.
weed friendly. Like, this is going to be what we do. But if you have some crowd that's not into weed, like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And why are you collaborating with the caterer? Like, did the caterer like roll over on you or what happened? This is just really weird. So I don't know, man. I
Maybe they want everyone to have a good time.
I guess, but well, I mean, I tend to think it's probably like, hey, wouldn't it be really funny to see Grandma and Grandpa high as fuck? What's the objective here? And then, I don't know. It's just funny, but people are bizarre, man. Another chapter of that.
All right, time. Okay, now in Alabama, Pink, Arby's associate got into an argument with a customer and threw hot grease on them, and now they have been arrested. They threw hot grease on the customer. Have you ever been in a fast food situation and wanted to do something to the associate or to the employee?
There was an older lady who worked at a Subway over in Altamont Springs, and she was quite possibly the worst employee in the history of food. She was so slow and incompetent, yet she kind of wanted to banter with you. And it's just like, bitch, you have limited intelligence. Focus on the task at hand and get the sandwich done. And so there's been times like when I've been about 2 or 3 deep on that line that I would have gladly thrown a tub of grease on her. So I empathize with my man at Arby's. I do, though. When you hear a story like that, though, don't you want to know, like, what was the argument
What was
about?
the argument over?
Like,
Yeah.
was this actually about something in the restaurant, or is this, like, beef from, like, outside of work?
Oh, that bleeded into the restaurant.
Yeah, like, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's true. All right. In lieu of this heavy basketball show, we're going to move, instead of a fuck, marry, kill, we're going to go to a start, bench, cut. All right?
Really? I prefer the other.
I know, right?
Why can't we have both?
This week, because I've been watching the doc heavy, not doc, but the TV show, The Winning Dynasty, whatever, the Lakers.
Oh, yeah.
And my boy, Dr. J, has made an appearance, man, in the most previous show.
Yes, he
So, I'm going to give you Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Dr. J. Start, bench, cut.
Cut Dr. J.
Oh, man. Just so fast.
Yeah, which he's not in that same level for me. Gosh. Starter.
I'm starting Magic.
I think I'm starting Magic. I'll bring Larry off the bench, and Larry will be so pissed that he'll come in and he'll go like full Jimmy Chitwood and not miss a shot for like a month and a half. So yeah, we'll do that.
Larry was tough, man.
Yeah,
I'm talking about before injury, pre-injury Larry.
No, I know, I get it, but like
Larry was cold, man.
Yeah, no, those guys. I mean, I literally have no issue if they occupy, like, share a spot in the top 10 all time.
Yeah.
Like, you get to save a spot.
To me, both of those guys are easily top 10.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
but if we just will agree as basketball fans that they could just jointly be number 6 and we get an extra guy in the top 10,
I see what you're
I'm
saying.
cool with that.
Yeah.
Like, they could just be, like Siamese basketball twins in the top 5 or 10, and I'm okay with that. Like, they're to me they're inseparable. It's just easier to have basketball discussions by linking them.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. All right. We're gonna take one last quick break in here. We'll let Juan be the judge whether he wants to stick around or not.
I'm always sticking around.
Yes.
Because we're gonna come back. We're gonna talk some Megan. All right. Oh, we got some NFL draft stuff too. I'll tell you what. No break. Let's move straight into the draft.
We ain't tired.
No, we're not tired. Man. I forgot about the draft, man.
Yeah.
All right, so the NFL draft is upon us.
All right, weakness. Only one season of production in college. Doesn't have blazing speed.
Don't forget now, this is a tight end. This is not a wide receiver. It's not a running back. This is a tight end that is going to make moves against safeties and defensive backs all the way down the field and then use a little power.
Not a tremendously explosive athlete.
Here is Kelsey. Still going. Still going. Kelsey. Good night. Touchdown.
breaks that well.
Before he runs an out route, so they come right back. Boom, stop, come right back in. I mean,
Here it is to Kelsey, who set the all-time single-season record for receiving yards by a tight end.
Kels plays with the pedal to the metal, which isn't always a good thing.
He's going deep downfield, wide open. Kelsey's going to take it all the way.
He doesn't run a wide variety of routes.
you think he's going to get hit, then he takes him, makes him go inside, and Kelsey, who's like a wide receiver, and look at the run after the catch. That's an unbelievable run. And Mahomes just watches him, and then he just throws it right over the top of those guys.
Character is a big question. He doesn't really produce until 2012, so may label him a potential one-year wonder. Ooh. The old one-hit.
Yes. So that was a little bit of Travis Kelce just talking and displaying his pre-draft NFL draft notes on him, and then showing videos and highlights that show how wrong those guys were. And we're here.
I love that stuff.
Yeah,
man.
man.
You can do it in any sport, but it's just super funny because it's like, these narratives are created around players, what they are, what they aren't. And then, like, when you see them get in the league and have the type of success that Travis Kelce's had, you just sit back and you're like, how did everybody miss this? Like, what happened? This is a tall-ass dude who moves fluidly, who moves fast.
A basketball guy.
Yeah, and he's just like, he's the real deal. Like him, I mean, the other funny thing, like I've noticed, like with college tight ends and stuff, like even if you're like 6'4" and below, you're not cut out to be an elite tight end in modern football. No. All the elite dudes are like 6'5", 6'6", and move like fluidly athletically. You got Gronk, you got Travis, but then you go to like a guy like a Darren Waller who's put up some crazy numbers. He's that same physical prototype of dude, and it's like that's what it takes to be an elite tight end, where you're just that horrific mismatch for everybody you deal with the combination of speed, size, catching radius. But just how do you miss this? Like, what are you looking at that you don't get that this dude's just different?
Well, I will say this, like when you're talking about some receivers and tight ends, quarterbacks have a lot to do with it. Like, would Gronk really be Gronk if it wasn't for Tom Brady? Would Kelsey really be Kelsey if he had Baker as his quarterback as opposed to Pat Mahomes? I think, to me, that's part of it. Like, I think unquestionably Calvin Johnson would be the best wide receiver to ever play football, unquestionably, if he had a better quarterback than Detroit Lions, or I should say a better organization, because obviously Matt Stafford won the Super Bowl with a better, more well-run organization.
I think that's a tough point that you're making, because he did have a guy that is a great physical talent at quarterback and can make a bunch of throws. And, the team wasn't always successful, but I don't know that he would necessarily be that much better. He'd have maybe more team success accomplishments. But from what he did, and he got a ton of volume of catches. He was playing with a guy that was a top pick in the draft and has unquestioned arm talent, who's now a champion. I think it would be the same. Like, Matt Stafford's not a different guy. He got in a different team, and he's now won a Super Bowl. Yeah. And the same could be said for Calvin Johnson. If he played on a present day Rams or a Chiefs team, he'd be a champion. But he'd still what he was as a player.
Yeah, but
which is great. I mean, first ballot Hall of Famer. We're not shitting on his career.
No, for sure. But a better, I understand what I'm saying, a better offensive system at least.
Organizations have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, they do. They do. It's tough with from that aspect, from receivers and tight ends, but you can still see some of the things you're talking about, getting out of my breaks, route running, my speed, things like that. That's stuff that you should be able to notate and see.
Yeah, if you're a scout that gets paid, if you're a good scout, that's the job. Like, you see, people perform, and part of that is you're projecting them from the college game into the NFL game, and things that are more important skill wise in the NFL game. I mean, same with the NBA. There's guys that can succeed and be good college players, but you just know they don't quite fit into the NBA game. And vice versa.
Like an Armando Bacot, so to speak.
Really
good college player.
I think the biggest and one of the biggest things with NFL and NBA draft and prospects coming in is you just don't know how much they love the game, and that's the hardest thing to manage. That's the hardest thing to
I remember though,
depict.
like Jimmy Johnson, he had the great run with the Cowboys, and his big criteria, like one of the things he always looked for was like. And he was a psychologist by training, by education, was how much does a person love the game? How much does it mean to him? And that is huge, because when you have that, you will have the passion to train, you'll have the passion to get better, you'll have the passion to learn the nuance of the game and become something different. Because that's the thing. Every year there's talented people that come into the NFL, the NBA, all these leagues. And there's a percentage of them that just don't really love it, and they never meet, what their potential could be, what their expectations are. And then there's dudes that just love it and just grind, and it's like you can listen to like a dude like Tom Brady just start talking football, and it's mesmerizing.
Yeah, Peyton Manning, all those guys. Yeah,
and it's like you realize like how much, like goes into this.
Yeah,
and I think like. One of the great revelations of JJ Redick's podcast is that type of like obsession he has with the game and all the little things that he notices and that he's completely passionate about. Yeah. I'm addicted to listening to him talk about basketball because it comes from such a passionate place.
Yeah, exactly.
And you learn and pick up on things just from doing that. One of my and like that the Manning brothers doing the Monday Night Football thing. That was solid gold.
Yeah, I fucking love it. I hope they bring them back.
Oh, they need to.
Yeah.
But one of the things that like there was a lot of like super funny laughs, like comedy laughs. But one of my favorite things of watching the show was their like low key reactions to bad throws.
Yeah.
Like there was almost a level of like disgust.
Yeah.
And it was so like low key. They like third down and 8 and the guy just missed it. I don't even need to elaborate. Like you could just feel like I wouldn't have missed that throw. I mean, I could come off my couch right now and make that throw. And that's like the level of of detail. I love that, man.
No, for sure.
But I mean, they're like, if you have a chance to interview somebody, like, and gather information. I mean, I think you can figure out pretty reliably that whether they love the game or not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's usually hidden. I mean, you talk to people, like we all love sports and whatever. You talk to people in your everyday life, and you realize pretty quickly, like, oh, this guy kind of likes basketball. I guess he watches a game or two. Or no, this guy knows it.
Yeah.
It's not.
There's no in between.
Yeah, it's not hidden. Like that.
No, for sure.
And I think it's a real shortcoming of scouting in general when you're missing this stuff.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of, I should say there's a lot of influence when it comes to scouting, because you could watch a kid play for the first time, and you could come away with your own assessment. But then when you really start to look at information on a kid, there could be too much or too little of it.
Especially
like I'll give you an example. It's like, I watched a kid at an event this past weekend, and I call a coach, a Division I coach, and he's like, yeah, I've heard of this kid, but is it true he's got this, and is it true he's got that, or true whatever? And I'm like, I watched him play a couple games, and I think he could help you win right now.
Right.
And there's just a lot of, you can allow outside information to really or outside perspective to really influence your opinion, or do you just really trust what you see and make an instinct on your gut? And I think that right now a lot of scouting is afraid to fail.
Yes.
Afraid to fail, and the organizations that have it figured out and are able to to find good players relative to value are the ones that succeed the most.
I agree. That's a great point. I always like. I mean, when I used to be more in the high school basketball scene, I would go to the AAU stuff at Disney when they had a lot of the bigger events. And one of the things that it was a conversation, and coaches would acknowledge it. Like, you'd go sit down at a game and you'd watch a player and it'd be like, number 3 in the white team, who's looking at him? That was like the question that would buzz around.
Yeah.
And if you said Florida, North Carolina, and Tennessee, then also, whoa. But you could look at the same guy and say FAU, Stetson, and that's like the box that people start to put him in. If you get that first big offer, it becomes like a windfall.
Yeah.
But if you're that guy in the low D1, or maybe you're just getting D2 looks, but that's not necessarily who and what you are. And sometimes that groupthink keeps a person there. But like you said, people that have the courage and trust in their evaluation of player, they can see a guy that maybe the lower schools are looking at only and realize, no, this guy can help me in the SEC.
Yeah, in basketball, with kids especially like those fringe guys, and what I mean by a fringe guy is like division, like low D1, D2, or mid-major, low major D1, or mid-major, high major Division 1. It's always like they're afraid to make that first offer. And even with kids now in the transfer portal, whether it's football or basketball, like you mention a kid, I'll give you an example. I mentioned a kid to a Division 1 coach this past weekend, a level down. Kid was at a high major. This coach is a mid-major coach. And we're talking about a kid averaged 1 point a game
at the higher
at the high major in 4 minutes. And he's like, and this coach is like, well, we need better. And I'm like, this kid was just at an ACC school. You don't think he can help you win in the Sun Belt?
Yeah.
I'm like, you're overthinking the fact that he averaged 1 point a game. He averaged 1 point in 4 minutes. If he plays 40 minutes, he's averaging 10 or 11 or 10 or 12.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, if you saw him in high school and you liked him, and he has the year of collegiate experience and maturity, and you're playing down a level, which is probably where he should have went in the first place.
Right.
I think it's a no-brainer. But again, now with the business of college sports,
and it's still,
everyone's afraid to lose their jobs.
And it's the other. But no, you're right. But the other thing is interesting. Nothing in that conversation really addressed what that player does or doesn't do.
Yeah.
It's all this perception of a limited stat line and this or that. It's like, what type of basketball do you play?
Yeah,
what does this guy do?
We both know the player. Like, I don't have to sit there and explain to you what a player can do. It's kind of just like, oh, well, you're just so consumed in the fact. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, for Gray, I just gave you a guy that averaged 2 points or 3 points a game in Illinois. Like, am I consumed by that? Yeah. Absolutely not. Like, no. I know the kid can play.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like the attributes, the guy's game. Like, there's circumstances why guys don't play a lot, and there's circumstances why maybe their statistics aren't like super impressive. But it doesn't necessarily mean they can't play.
Yeah.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. I think we're a little bit out of time, man.
All right.
I will say this though, with the NFL draft, that guy from Oregon, Thibodeau, Kayvon.
Yeah.
I think he's the next Clowney.
Ooh.
Like I think he's that good.
Oh, that good.
Yes.
Well, because I was gonna
had an underwhelming.
Like Houston Texans, Jadeveon Clowney.
I was gonna say, like, Clowney, like, in some ways never fully like lived up to his promise.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, with football, like, I think you have less.
He was an absurd athletic freak.
Yes.
And he had some really good years, but like, he was never like defensive MVP.
He was supposed to be Javon Curse, all those, those type of
J.J.
guys.
Watt.
J.J. Watt.
Khalil Mack.
He
never quite got to that
level.
level.
Got that level.
Yeah, but let me just make one last point. Like, I compare Kayvon's situation in Oregon a little bit to what Fournette went through at LSU. Like he should have probably went to the if he could have gone, he should have went last year, or he could have went last year and skipped skip playing college this year and been a top 5 pick. And with Fournette's career, like Fournette has always been to me a top level running back. He just got caught up in a horrible situation in Jacksonville, and he got this awful stigma, and people are crediting Tom Brady with rescuing him. No, he was always to me an elite level running back. People just get caught up in these bad fits and situations that aren't for everybody. So I hope for Kayvon's sake, he doesn't get drafted into a horrible situation wherever that may be.
Right.
And people don't get caught up in his last year at Oregon, which he shouldn't have even been there.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a guy too. I mean, this was a 5-star guy who was, in most regards, the top player in the country that year.
Yeah.
Coming into I mean, Florida State was in the mix for a while. One of the final shout out though, Travis Hunter, who we spoke about a while back, was a Florida State commit, flipped to Deion and Jackson State late in the process. This guy played the spring game this past week.
Did he?
Yeah. First quarter, 2 receiving touchdowns, 1 interception on defense.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Added a second interception later in the game, which had an epic highlight because it was one of these, the guy's running like a skinny post. Travis is in man coverage. And Shadur Sanders, Deion's son, was quarterbacking and threw the pick. And he just kind of threw a ball inside. Travis beat him to the spot and picked it off. Deion's like talking to the media guy, like, they sometimes do that situation. And Deion's like, watch the play. You caught that? I don't know why Shadur tried him like that.
Well, that's bad news for Deion.
Oh, no, it's great news for Deion because Travis.
Well, it's not because it's going to cost him like $5 million after this year to keep the kid.
Oh, it don't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is I watch highlights when he was an FSU commit. This guy is going to be Randy Moss level must-watch highlights throughout the course of the year.
Wow.
Mark my words.
Wow.
This kid was the number 1 player in the country and like universally regarded as the number 1 wide receiver and number 1 corner. Same time. Same dude.
That's outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be like Randy was at Marshall, just put up ridiculous stat lines, and ESPN's going to be showing highlights every week. What did Travis do?
How about they show his games?
Yeah, they'll also do that too.
I want to see Gilly on the sidelines at a Jackson State game again. Get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
Yeah, man, yeah. But yeah, no, this guy's going to be must see TV for sure.
All right, there you go, man. Check out for Deion Sanders' HBCU team this year. You guys have been on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink. Don't forget to look us up on all streaming platforms. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We also now have shirts.
Yeah, get your shirt, yo.
Juan's got his on already.
Shirt. That's right. Appreciate you guys. We're out.
All right.